You know that feeling, right? Just information coming at you from everywhere. And sometimes you just want clarity. Not more noise, but something meaningful.
We've definitely all been there.
Yeah. So today, we're stepping back from all that. We're going deep into something timeless. Surah Ibrahim. That's the 14th chapter of the Quran.
Right, Surah Ibrahim. Named after Prophet Abraham, or Ibrahim. He's such a key figure, obviously, in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Absolutely.
And his faith, his prayers, they're really central here. It's fascinating to remember the context, too. This was revealed in Mecca.
Okay.
A really difficult time for the early Muslims. Lots of opposition, even persecution, just before they migrated to Medina. That backdrop really shapes the message.
So this wasn't revealed in, peaceful times. It was guidance for people facing real struggles.
Exactly, which is why you see themes like resilience, divine justice, truth winning out. They're so prominent. So our goal here in this deep dive is to pull out those core insights, the lessons that, still offer guidance for navigating life, your own journey.
Finding that signal in the noise, maybe.
Precisely. And the surah states its purpose right up front, guiding humanity from darkness.
Disbelief.
Yeah, disbelief, polytheism, into the light of faith in the one God.
Okay, let's unpack that. Those opening verses about Revelation's purpose.
Yeah.
What's the key takeaway?
Well, verse 1 clearly says the Quran is to lead people from that darkness to light, and crucially, by the permission of Allah.
So it's offered divinely purposed, not random.
Right. It's an active path for transformation. And verse 2 immediately follows up, asserting Allah's absolute power over everything.
How does that connect, the power and the guidance?
It establishes the stakes. This guidance isn't trivial. Accepting or rejecting it has real, profound consequences. It underlines why you need to take it seriously.
Okay. And these disbelievers mentioned early on, what defines them in these verses?
Verse 3 gives a key characteristic. They prioritize this worldly life, the temporary gains, over the hereafter.
Short-sightedness.
Exactly. And, importantly, they actively try to stop others from finding Allah's path. They even twist the truth to fit their desires.
Wow. So it's not just personal error, it's actively misleading others, too.
It shows the danger when the temporary overshadows the eternal, leads to spiritual blindness and trying to block others' view, too.
It's like getting caught in the immediate and dragging others down with you.
Yeah, pretty much. Then verse 4 adds another layer. Messengers were sent speaking their people's language.
For clarity, obviously.
Right. It highlights the message is universal, but also how vital, clear communication is for these deep truths.
Makes sense. You can't connect otherwise. But that verse also mentions Allah guiding and misguiding. How do we square that with free will? It sounds a bit arbitrary.
That's a really important question. Think of it maybe like a flowing river of guidance. It's available.
Sorry.
But individuals choose whether to step in, how to navigate. If you sincerely seek truth, open your heart, you'll find guidance. Misguidance. Well, that comes from deliberately turning away.
Choosing to ignore the signs.
Yes, clinging to falsehood even when guidance is there. Allah, in His wisdom, allows people to follow the path they choose, but the consequences are built in.
So it's our response to the offered guidance.
Yeah.
That river analogy helps.
Yeah. Then the surah shifts to lessons from the past. Prophet Moses, specifically, why look back like that?
History lessons.
More than just history. Verse 5 talks about reminding people of Ayamu Allah, the annals of Allah or divine history.
Okay, what is that?
These are specific moments where God's power and justice were really clear, like case studies showing timeless principles in action. And the verse stresses only those with patience and gratitude can really learn from these signs, see the patterns.
So history as a divine textbook, and patience and gratitude are the lenses to read it.
That's a great way to put it. Verse 6 then recounts delivering Moses' people from Pharaoh, that brutal oppression, killing their sons.
A clear act of divine mercy and intervention.
Definitely. And it sets up this fundamental principle the Surah emphasizes next.
The link between gratitude and blessings.
Yes, verse 7 lays it out so clearly. Be grateful, I will increase you. Be ungrateful, my punishment is severe.
Wow, that's direct.
It's presented as a divine law, almost, a dynamic cycle. Our thankfulness or lack of it directly impacts our reality.
So gratitude isn't just like being polite, it actively shapes things.
Right. And then verse 8 adds perspective. Moses reminds them, even if everyone disbelieved, Allah needs nothing. He's self-sufficient, worthy of praise regardless.
That really puts us in our place, doesn't it?
It does. Our gratitude benefits us, not him. It's humbling.
Okay. And then the surah details this pattern of prophets being rejected.
Yeah, verse 9 mentions people of Noah and Thamud, how their messengers faced disbelief. And there's that striking image. Disbelievers thrusting their hands into their mouths.
That is vivid. What's that about? Frustration.
Interpreters often see it as extreme frustration, rage, trying to silence the truth, even physically stopping themselves from acknowledging it, a kind of violent denial.
So maybe deep down they sense the truth but fight it.
Possibly. It suggests a deep internal conflict. And how did the prophets respond to this? Verse 10 shows them reasoning, patiently.
Pointing back to basics.
Exactly. Questioning doubt about Allah, the Creator, inviting them to monotheism, offering forgiveness, respite. But the objection comes back.
You're just human like us.
Yeah, that timeless dismissal. But the messengers had an answer.
That was it.
Verses 11 and 12. They say, yes, we are human, but prophethood is a grace from Allah. They couldn't do miracles on demand. That's Allah's domain.
Okay.
And crucially, they highlighted their patience, their steadfastness, which came from totally trusting in Allah. It wasn't passive waiting. It was an active strategy.
So strength through faith, not human power.
Yeah.
And this trust becomes a catalyst.
Exactly. Verse 13, the disbelievers threatened expulsion, forced conversion. Verse 14, Allah inspires the messengers. Don't worry, the oppressors will be destroyed. Believers who fear Allah will inherit the land.
A stark contrast. Human threats versus divine promise.
A powerful juxtaposition, and it leads into describing the fate of the arrogant.
Right, verses 15 to 17. It sounds pretty severe.
It's a vivid depiction of hell, inescapable torment for those who knowingly rejected truth with arrogance, a serious warning about consequences.
And then that incredible image in verse 18, the ashes scattered by wind.
Like ashes which the wind scatters on a stormy day, it powerfully shows the futility of deeds not based on sincere faith.
No matter how good they look outwardly.
Right. If the foundation isn't faith in Allah, they're weightless, meaningless in the end, like scattered ash. It's the intention, the belief, that gives actions eternal value.
So it's the inner reality, not just the outer show. Verses 19 and 20 then reaffirm Allah's power to create, resurrect.
Yeah, reinforcing the reality of Judgment Day and his ability to follow through on promises and warnings.
Okay, which brings us to that day of judgment itself and accountability. What's key there?
Verse 21 paints this stark scene. Followers can't be helped by the arrogant leaders they followed. Everyone's responsible for their own choices.
No passing the buck.
None at all. You can't say I was just following the crowd. It's individual.
And then verse 22, Satan's confession. That's quite something.
It really is. Satan admits Allah's promises were true, his were lies. He says he had no real power over people.
Just invitation, suggestion.
Exactly. He basically says, don't blame me. Blame yourselves for choosing to follow. It powerfully reinforces free will and personal accountability.
Wow. So God isn't responsible if we choose falsehood. And it broadens that idea of shirk, associating partners with God.
Definitely. It's not just literal idols. Satan's confession implies shirk is also obeying anyone or anything, desires, society, systems against divine guidance without Allah's sanction.
It's about where your ultimate loyalty lies.
Precisely. Who or what is your ultimate guide? And the surah illustrates this beautifully with the parable of the words.
The good word and the evil word, verses 23 to 27.
Right. A powerful contrast. The good word, tawhid, monotheism, truth is like a strong tree. Deep roots, stable, fruitful, lasting good. Exactly. The evil word, falsehood. Deviation is like a weak tree. Shallow roots, unstable, easily uprooted, harmful results. It suggests reality itself aligns with truth.
That's memorable. Truth is solid, falsehood is fragile, ultimately destructive.
And Allah grants that firmness, that rootedness to believers. Verse 27 says, He keeps them firm with the firm word in this life and the next, while wrongdoers who reject it are allowed to stray.
Okay, then the focus shifts to Allah's bounties, followed by human ingratitude. Quite the contrast.
Verses 28 to 30 warn about the consequences for those who swap Allah's favor for disbelief and lead others astray too. Hell is mentioned as their end.
It really emphasizes our impact on others, not just ourselves. But then there's a clear command for believers.
Yes, verse 31, establish prayer, spend in charity secretly and openly before that day comes when deals and friendships are useless.
So practical actions as proof of faith and gratitude.
Tangible expressions. And then comes that amazing list of Allah's blessings in verses 32 to 34.
It's almost overwhelming when you read it.
It really is. Creation of heavens, earth, rain, food, ships, rivers, the sun, moon, day, night. This whole intricate cosmic system, perfectly designed, working for us.
Breathtaking, really. The scale of it. And yet,
Verse 34 delivers that punchline. Humanity is indeed most unjust and very ungrateful. Despite all this,
it's sobering.
it highlights how easily we take things for granted, overlook the source, fail to appreciate, a kind of spiritual blindness.
After pointing out that ingratitude, the Surah brings in Prophet Ibrahim's prayers. They feel very personal.
Deeply personal, yes. Verses 35, 36, he prays for Mecca's security, peace, and prays to be protected, him and his children, from idolatry.
Looking generations ahead.
Absolutely, a long-term vision for pure monotheism. Then verse 37, that incredible prayer settling his family in a barren valley.
Near the sacred house.
So they could establish prayer, trusting Allah completely for sustenance in what seemed like nowhere.
Prioritizing the spiritual connection.
Totally. And praying for people's hearts to incline towards them, for provisions, linking sustenance back to thankfulness again.
That theme keeps coming back. Trust and gratitude. And verse 38 affirms Allah's knowledge.
Yes, you know what we conceal and what we reveal, reinforcing accountability and his own sincerity. Then verse 39, his gratitude for Ishmael and Isaac in old age.
A long-awaited blessing.
Acknowledging Allah as the hearer of prayer, no matter how long it takes. And his final prayers in verses 40 and 41 are so encompassing.
What does he ask for?
Steadfastness in prayer for himself and descendants, acceptance of his prayers, and forgiveness for himself, his parents, and all believers on Judgment Day.
For his parents, too.
Yeah.
I thought there were verses about not praying for those who died in disbelief.
That's an important point. Later verses do clarify that. It shows how guidance sometimes unfolds progressively, but his initial prayer reflects that deep care.
Okay, that makes sense. Finally, the surah concludes with this stark warning about the reckoning. What's the main message there?
Verses 42 to 46 are a powerful warning. Don't think Allah is unaware of wrongdoers. He's just delaying things until that day of horror.
Judgment Day.
Right. It describes their terror, their useless pleas for more time, reminding them of their past arrogance, the fate of unjust nations before them. The key message: worldly success isn't approval. It might be a test. Justice is coming.
Appearances can deceive. Accountability is certain. And verses 47 to 51 offer reassurance and describe the day itself.
Firm reassurance. Allah's promise to his messengers won't fail. And then a description of a radical transformation. Earth and heavens change. Everyone gathered before the one, the irresistible.
A total reset of reality.
And a depiction of the severe punishment for the criminals. Shackles, tar, fire, very intense imagery.
A powerful reminder of the stakes. And the very last verse, it ties it all together.
Verse 52, yes. It declares the Quran is a message for everyone, to warn them, to help them know Allah is the only God, and for people of understanding, to reflect, to take heed.
Underscoring its universal, timeless relevance. Wow.
It really drives home the core purpose.
This has been incredibly insightful. It's amazing how relevant these verses feel even today.
Yeah.
All those core human challenges and questions are right there.
They really are. The wisdom in Surah Ibrahim on our relationship with God, with each other, preparing for what comes next. It's profound, timeless.
Yeah, it really hammers home that need to be aware of blessings, ground ourselves in truth. What's one final thought you'd leave us with reflecting on this surah?
Maybe reflect on that connection between recognizing blessings, staying steadfast in faith, and how that invites more divine favor. Think about how conscious gratitude actually builds resilience for challenges.
And how that deepens your connection to God.
Exactly. It's like this virtuous cycle of spiritual growth. Definitely something worth thinking about continuously.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thank you so much for guiding us through this deep dive. I know I'll be thinking about these lessons for a long time.